Does anyone have a question they would like to
Um, this double breathing, very incredible and strong. You told me one time about a yogi tried to create Kundalini energy to in the snow or something, right? So I mean, they have a special breathing technique, or I don't know. Just
ask?
curious.
I don't understand your question.
Okay. You told me one time, yogi, like a great uh, meditation, yogi.
Yogis, yes.
Yeah, yeah. That they try to create a kundalini in the snow, in a
Well,
special.
I've read and I've heard people talk about Tibetan yogis, Tibetan lamas that do that type of exercise,
Mm,
where they go out in very cold weather and they try to activate the Kundalini so that it heats up their body, it heats up their entire inner self. No, I've never seen this.
oh,
I've just read about this and I've been told about this from people, but I personally have never seen anything like it. And, I think it's probably possible if you're truly highly developed inside and, then you can really neutralize the cold. But
mm,
again, I can't say I've ever been with anybody who's ever done that or have seen that in my life. So I basically was talking from secondhand. I mean, when I talk about things like that, it's only because people complain about everything.
mm,
I'm too hot, I'm too cold, I don't like this, the clothing, and look, there are Tibetans that go out in the middle of the winter and
mm,
sit and try to activate their, the tumo, the fire inside them. And and what I always say that these kind of things when I hear people complain about their lives. I don't like this, my apartment, my bed, my this, my that. I can't stand my job, my roommate, my et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you can always spend 5 seconds thinking that there are a lot of people in the world that have it a lot worse than any of us.
mm.
And so I would use those kinds of examples to say, hey, you're sitting here, you're in the comfort of your home, you can activate Kundalini. There are people that try to do this by going out in the middle of the winter and practicing certain, the Tibetan yogis call it tumo exercises,
Sumo exercise.
do that kind of heating up of the inner self.
Wow. Mm,
So I actually, I just get tired of listening to people complain.
true.
I
Mm,
really do. I mean, look, I learned about Tumo under very, very extraordinary circumstances. And it seemingly was an accident, but it wasn't an accident. It was something that was arranged on a higher plane of consciousness. And I learned about it because I was told that in many ways it's similar to what we practice. I also learned that if you practice Tibetan Buddhism, they won't even show you if they know it, Tumo, until you've been studying for 20 years. And in this meditation, you walk in the door, you're shown it immediately, how to activate Kundalini, how to breathe into what they call the base, belly breathing. So, but I was shown this by a very great master, truly a great master, on the level of the Karmapa, the Dalai Lama, on that level this man was. And it was an extraordinary experience that I had. And it was something totally unexpected that, I just walked right into it. But then again, It wasn't an accident. There are no accidents. So, look, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. I've never really practiced Tibetan Buddhism for years and years and years. I've always been interested in it. Mostly, I used to really love the art. The Tonkas, the bronzes, the ritual objects. I was, very much taken with that. And I ran a whole gallery selling those kind of things, all this esoteric stuff. Well, you remember, you used to come to my loft when it was there, I remember once there was a
Thank you so much.
a story. I was having, years ago, I was running a gallery on 13th Street, right off of Broadway. And I was selling almost exclusively art, Tibetan and, Buddhist and Hindu sacred art, ancient stuff, really old stuff. And I remember I was having lunch with two friends of mine, and I get a phone call from Chris. She was working for me at the time. And she said, oh, there's a Tibetan Rinpoche here and a bunch of students of his, and they want to see you. Can you come on over wherever you are? So I excused myself from the lunch. I went over there. And I'll never forget this. As I walked in the door, and there was this guy. He was the sweetest, most delicious human being. And I instantly looked at him, and he just went right into my heart. He was just a wonderful human being. And we started talking and blah, blah, blah. And I said, let me take you up to my loft. I have more stuff up there. You can see. And they were interested in finding Tonkas. So I heard them talking. And I looked at him and I said, you're not His Holiness the Shamapa, are you? And he said, yes. He said, yes. Wow. And it was amazing, Anyway, we started talking and I said, look, I have a painting to show you that I think you're going to really like. And maybe about a week before, I had bought this Tonka, 17th century Tonka, of a portrait of the Shamapa, one of his incarnations. Wow. Back in the 17th century. So I roll out this painting and the guy just looks at it and he said, I knew this painting when I was a young man living in a monastery in Tibet. Wow. Anyway, he wound up getting the painting. I made a whole deal with his students, basically gave it away to them. But it was very interesting how these things happen. And then he and I became friends. He came in the next day and he insisted on buying something from me. And he signed 15 traveler's checks, the Shamapa. It was incredible. I looked at I started to laugh, the Shamapa, Anyway, life happens that way. And if you're open, you can reap the benefits and the rewards of these amazing experiences that can take place in life. And I remember I was in Kathmandu staying at the Yak and Yeti Hotel. And I'm standing in the lobby, and the lobby is just crowded with a lot of people. And I suddenly see this little guy running across the lobby. Stuart, how are you? It was the Shamapa. And he came up to me and he looked at me, he gave me a big hug. And he said, you have to come to Sikkim. I insist that you come and visit me and spend 2 months in Sikkim. And I couldn't go, God bless him, but I'm just saying how life happens. And I'm not a student of Tibetan Buddhism. I know a lot about it because I had to deal with their culture a great deal. But these kinds of experiences take place as part of the evolution of one's growth in consciousness and development. Mm-hmm. I really like that guy. He was really a kick. He was just fun and just such a flower, He was like a beautiful flower in the spring, this guy.
Still, are you selling Tibetan art?
No, not anymore. No. I stopped doing. I mean, I collect it. I have a whole house full of it here, you know, but I'm not in the business anymore. I have all kinds of bronzes and paintings and stuff, but I just decided not to be in the business. I just want to do what I do, you know, which is these teachings and deep spiritual practice, and not to have to, you know, chase people for money and, you know, that kind of, I don't have the money I used to have, but it doesn't matter, you know. But I have a whole house full of this stuff. It's really,
Wow.
you know, bronzes and ritual objects.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
I'd like to know what you think about how Zoom works, because it's not the same as being with you personally, but it's still really strong. Do you have any idea about that?
Well, it's the only thing available to me now, Chris.
No.
I'm not going to run ashrams anymore. I don't want to do it. I don't want to run a place for people that want to hide out from the world, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't run ashrams anymore. I do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding that in this, I'm connecting to people all over the world.
Yeah.
Now, I had class with in-person classes today. There were 4 people there. Very powerful, hands-on work. It's a whole other level. But I'm not gonna run an ashram anymore. I'm not gonna run big centers that I used to run and do what I used to do. And you know, COVID has created a different world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had to find out how I could take advantage of this and find out what was my path through this world. And I wound up doing this on Zoom. And it's connecting to people. And I think it's helping people all over the place, you know?
Oh, it's remarkable.
Yeah. But again, it's not as powerful. We had a class today that was extraordinary, you know, as these in-person classes. I do hands-on work with people, you know, breaking up all the blocks in their chakra systems and, you know, the kind of stuff I've learned over years of doing, you know, Rudy's practice. But I can't compare one with the other. You know, each is unique in its own way, and each enables me to connect. Look, here's somebody sitting in New York, and somebody, you know, you're in Sacramento, and she's in Oregon. And I mean, it's ridiculous, you know? I used to travel around the world always wondering, how the hell can I do that? And COVID, I think COVID came, God gave the world COVID so I could learn how to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And people sitting from all over the Brazil, and, you know, I mean, and other classes, Israel and all over Europe, people come, you know.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
It is wonderful, Chris. But, you know, I mean, I hope people start making plans to start coming for these in-person classes, because they're really powerful things.
Yes. Thank you.
And if you don't come, then there's this. I don't, you know, look, whether you're there, you're not there, everybody on this screen fits right into my heart. And I'm so grateful for every single person that is here, that I'm willing to do the utmost that I can to help nurture people out of sheer gratitude for your all being here. I mean, this is beyond anything my mind can understand. And yet it works. It works.
Yes. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Chris. Does anyone else have a question? And look, it's a different time now than in the 1960s and 70s, or the 70s, you know? It's a different time. The world is different today than it was, you know, 40 years ago when I was running schools and centers and that type of thing. I mean, we live in a much different kind of world today. And I had to find that I had to put it in a certain gear in order to adapt to what was being demanded of me. I mean, look, Jennifer came here and my God, she's an angel. She's really an angel. I mean it, it's extraordinary. What kind of a human being she is and what she's contributed to my life by just being here. It's just been amazing. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Yes, Magali.
Yes, I'd like to ask you your opinion on how to explain this work that we are doing to kids. I personally have a daughter.
I have no opinions, Magali, but just leave kids alone. Let them be kids.
The reason I'm asking you that is that Nikita, my youngest, she's looking at Rudy's picture and she keeps on going to Rudy's picture and she calls him the happy man. And she said, Mom, I don't understand. The happy man.
The happy man.
Said, yes. And she said, when I looked at his picture, it really makes me happy, Mom. And I don't understand why. What is it?
Because how old is she?
She's 12.
Yeah, you know, her heart's open. She's innocent. There's love inside her. She connects with that quality in Rudy that does that to her, you know?
So she's asking me what I'm doing. And I say to her, my answer to her was, you know, Rudy is teaching me how to open my heart and share the love inside my heart, but also how to receive love inside my heart. So that was kind of my answer, but I was wondering
how to
react to this.
Just nurture her, love her, let her experience this around you. As she gets a little older, you know, she can start coming to the meditation classes.
I feel she's far too young, of course, to come to the class, but I feel she needs answers. And I want to give her like little hints. So I was wondering how you would react.
What I would react
out of the blue asking you that.
I had when my daughter was born, okay, a psychic told me, very great psychic, told me that she has ancient saints living inside her, ancient beings living inside her. You know, it took 26 years, she's 26 now, for her to begin to really see what I do, and now started to come to meditation classes. She's coming to the retreat that I'm doing in August, and she just comes, and yesterday she was here, it was delicious. She wanted to hear all my stories about this one and that one, and it just opened her up. Well, it took a long time, but it was patience, and what happened? Oh, there you are. Patience and nurturing her, and you know, and watching it, you know, take root inside her. You know, just love your daughter. Just love her, just with every unconditional amount of love inside yourself, and the rest of it will take care of itself.
Wonderful, I can do that.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know. That will nurture her, it'll allow her to grow, and then she'll find in her life what she has to do, you know? And she has a connection with Rudy, that's wonderful, you know? But just nurture her, love her unconditionally. And it's not hard for a mother to do that, you know?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, to me, it's kind of amazing how when my mother was alive, she was in my classes and she passed on, and now my daughter's starting to come to my, I mean, this, you talk about working out karma. It's totally amazing to me. I mean, if there was any reason for me to be in Connecticut, it's that, you know, I had never thought of ever dreaming of living in Connecticut. But here I am, and this whole thing is taking place. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then it's been great. It's been wonderful sitting here with all of you and just learning from you. You know, really, it's just a miracle in my life to be able to sit here and do this. And I'd like to thank you all, and God bless you all. We'll have a class again on Wednesday, and hopefully I'll see everybody. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you very much.